Hello, folks, and welcome to the GhostÉire channel. We have an hour-long topical talk show dedicated to the paranormal. So tonight we have my co-host Cameron Murphy, both in Killarney.
Good
Hello,
evening.
Cameron.
Hello.
Just sound check.
How are you all doing?
Hi, and we have Michelle Connolly from Back in Time Paranormal Investigation.
How you doing?
Okay, seems like we've lost Michelle. We've had technical issues this evening. Can you see? Can you hear
Got
me,
you back
Michelle?
there now, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
Oh, great, we got you
Back
back.
again.
Yeah, I don't know if you're trying to mess with me. Okay, we got hello. Just to lighten up it. We got Carol Daly says hello. Hello, Carol.
Hi,
Thanks
Carol.
for tuning in. I'm sorry for the delay there. We have been having technical issues, whether it's the weather. Kumu the Fulcher, Amershah, Gadana. The weather is bad over here in Killarney. You're in Wexford, is that true, Michelle?
No,
Wexford?
I'm in Meath, just outside.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And so tonight, folks, we're going to be talking about old and new ways of investigating. Also, Loftus Hall and fake evidence. So there's the sort of agendas we'll have tonight. So if you have a question for Michelle, please do put forward that, or for any of us do feel to put it forward. We were live streaming. It's supposed to be on the website there, but I think that's gone a bit late. We're probably still on there now. So I'm just going to pass you on to Cameron Murphy, who's going to give you the contact details. How you can contact us tonight.
Yeah, so basically you can contact us by visiting our website at www.ghostére.net. You can click on the contact page, fill in the blanks. And if you have a private question for us, just put in brackets after the message, private. And you can email us at ghost_era66@yahoo.com. And you can also leave a comment on the live post. And finally, if you're affiliated with any other paranormal team, tourist attraction, etc., then just put in brackets on your post the organization you're with, and we'll give you a shout out. So that's pretty much it. Back to you, Anthony.
Oh, cheers, Cameron. And we're just getting a few comments here. Michelle is hot. That's good. Thank you, Carl. We got Yvette. Hi, Yvette. Is that Yvette we're back in time? Hi, Yvette. How are you doing? Nice to talk to you again. So we're going to talk about the old and new ways of of investigations. Michelle, what would you like to talk about the subject about there? Is it? I know you do spiritual experiments and all that, and you do kind of new ones there. What kind of spiritual experiments do you do?
Well, to be honest with you, we're like yourselves there now. We like to do an awful lot of experiments when we go to places. Don't get me wrong, we are interested in the modern way, and we kind of use them side by side to balance things out. For example, we'd use an EVP in a room where we'd have a wind chime set up. So therefore, you lock off the room, you've got your wind chime set up, you've got the balance of both in there. You start your EVP, nothing's happening for 2 hours, there's not a sound in the place. Next of all, the wind chimes go off and you know you have something. If the wind chimes are going off throughout the whole thing, you know it's nothing, obviously. So that's the kind of thing we like to do. Another one where you'd have the cameras set up in a locked off room. You'd have a set of ping pong balls on a board, use a blackboard, white ping pong balls on a marked spot. Camera set up on them, lock off for a couple of hours. If nothing happens, nothing happens. If it does, we've caught it. Now, to date, we haven't caught anything with the ping pong balls, but we'll keep going.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the trigger objects there. We used to do that sort of thing as well ourselves there, but we've never got anything really amazing there with it.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say, Mary, sorry, now Mary Nolan was supposed to join us tonight. I'll try maybe in a bit there to try and get Mary on, but we've been trying all night. But if not, Mary, we can come back to a later date. There's no problem with that. We'll can have another discussion there. So with old ways and new ways of communication, like the trigger objects, have you ever noticed anything change in a locked off room yourself with any objects?
As I said, with the ball experiment, nothing has moved. With the EVP, we've picked up an awful lot of sounds in locked off rooms. Some stuff that you kind of know that, like, there's nobody on the floor or around the area at the time, and there's crashing and bangs and stuff like that. I mean, it's hard to explain what that is. I mean, I'm not saying it's paranormal. I'm not saying it's not paranormal, but yes, we've caught a few things like that. We've actually caught it in. I know we're going to be talking about fake stuff later on, but we were in Ross Castle there going back a couple of years. We had a locked off camera in the room with a set of wind chimes. We didn't have the EVP running at the time of that. We had it with us elsewhere, but there was no breezes in the room. The windows are closed, and like that, the wind chimes went off, but they were off camera, which we couldn't prove to anybody that it happened, but we know that the room, it was the room we were staying in. It was if you've ever been to Ross Castle, they don't have keys to lock the door, but we had set the door up, we had shut it, and we put paper in it, so if anybody had gone in, obviously the paper would have dropped, and when we came back to the room, it was still in the exact same position. So we knew we had caught something ourselves, but like that, because it was off camera, it was very hard to use as evidence as such.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I've been to Ross Castle ourselves there, and it's, oh god, it's so fine. It is a scary place, Ross Castle there. Even like I remember doing an investigation there a couple of years ago there, but when it was picking up the cameras at the end of the night, picking up the equipment, I forget which room, I think it's the Baron's room, I forget now. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's on the first floor of the spiral staircase. But you felt an unease there when you're on your own in a room in that castle. It's so freaky there. And I was with a radio crew before Halloween night, and a flying vase fell off the wall. I think it was in the same room as you showed video footage of the wind chimes. And that room is spooky. There is I think Sabina's the spirit, the woman ghost, I suppose.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think the Black Baron there. We just have a few more questions there. Carol's saying, guys, I was just wondering, did you ever hear of Huff Paranormal? I think I have. Have you heard of them, Cameron?
No.
I think I've heard of them. The American group, is it?
Yeah. I think I have there, Carol. There, I imagine so. I'm in it. To be honest, I'm into Thomas the Tank Engine at the moment, and Fantarina there. That's all I can watch at the moment there. So if I get a moment to myself, I try and watch the other paranormal programs or other teams that are around. Ross Castle, is there any been? I'm going to show some footage later on of Loftus Hall there with the screams and shouting. Has there been any would you say with old and new ways of investigating? Do you reckon it's going to change now with this virus thing we've got there with people wandering into ruined buildings, getting insurance, as yourself, as we are there, we're spiritual investigators. We do spiritual experiments, things like seances. It'd be much more difficult. What do you reckon, and what's your opinion on that, Michelle?
Well, gosh, it's hard to say really at the moment. So we kind of experience getting out and doing them again. I suppose with seance, when we do seances, if we were doing them with public, you do that, where the fingers tip on the table and stuff like that. Purely that's going back to the olden days of making sure that nobody is kind of moving things with their hands underneath the table or anything like that. So I suppose if we were to do it as a team, we probably wouldn't join a circle, as in, we'd form a circle as opposed to touching hands and stuff like that. So I suppose it can be done in a private team group. It could be okay. Obviously, public, when you've got a lot of public with you, it's going to be an awful lot harder. But having said that, I prefer going on location with less public because there's less interference and less
Yeah.
of night. So for me, having you've a group of 10, 15, that's just overwhelming for everybody, that, you know, including the people themselves, myself, and whatever is going on around you that you're trying to capture. So the less the better for me.
Yeah, I think you find often as well when you're dealing with the public, generally speaking, that like some of the kind of old forms of divination, like scrying and like, you know, talking boards and stuff, that they're actually more frightened of those kind of things. And you know, when it comes to the, like, seances and stuff, I don't think they have the understanding about them as we would, you know. So it's a bit more difficult to do with them as well, where it's easier to give them an EMF meter or a digital thermometer or something and let them enjoy it more that way.
Exactly, and especially if you've got like a K2 and it's spiking and it's going red, obviously that looks more flashy and more scary when you see the lights going off than just, you know, a knock on the wall or whatever. I agree with you there. I think as well, the seances and stuff, and the spirit boards and stuff like that, as you said, you would say to somebody, we're bringing in a spirit board. Is it a Ouija board? Oh, you can't bring that into the place. Oh, no. And they're completely against it. But to me, a spirit board is no different to standing in a room and calling out to whatever's there. So that's just my opinion on it. I'm not saying anybody else is wrong, but that's just how I feel.
Precisely. Yeah. It has been heavily Hollywoodized, I suppose, a lot of these things.
Absolutely.
So that's, I think, that's where it comes from, you know. That's where it comes from.
Yeah. That's it. And you tell somebody a place is haunted and it's, you know, you're going to go into it and it's dark and watch out for this room because such and such happens in that room. They're obviously going to go in feeling it all, and you're planting a seed, and you know it's going to happen. So
yeah. There you go.
And I suppose, like, we're talking about the old ways and new ways. I suppose what was technical there, say about 50 years ago, is completely different now compared to what we have now. I suppose the marketing for equipment is so out there now. Like it's, you know, people are inventing so much new ways of communication, or ways that they think are making spirit contact as well. And I suppose, like, as you mentioned, the K2 meter, everyone loves the K2 meter. It's just like Christmas lights, you know. Everyone loves them. We still use them ourselves there, but only very rarely then, because I'm mainly just for base testing. But would you be more interested? Do you have any, like, bits of equipment that you would use, like gadgets or equipment that would that you find significant, that you found, wow, that has really picked up something unusual, untypical?
We do use it, like as you said, a K2 would probably be my favorite one, purely because you can get the interaction. You go into a room with, or a building with no electricity, nothing around it, and your baseline tests are coming up all, you know, fine, and then in the middle of the night you're getting hit with the spikes. That looks great. Do you know what I mean? And you can delve into that then, and you can pull from that what you can. And it just kind of gives you that little guide of what to do and where to go. So yeah, I suppose K2 and EVP is great as well. You can pick up things that you can't hear on location as well, particularly when you're in the height of it and everything's happening. And, you know, if you have that going there, you come back the next day, listen to it all, and really get a sense of what actually happened, whether, you know, it was all natural, you know, causes to whatever it was, or there was something there. So in that sense, they probably would be my two favorite modern day technologies to use. But we do use the dowsing rods, and we use what else would we use? I suppose, as you mentioned before, trigger objects are big for us. We use the sound tape theory. We're very big on that, and we love doing the Singapore effect, where you get the music, or you dress up in the costume. We were reading from a Bible the last time we were in that castle up in the Bloody Chapel. One of the guys actually read from the Bible, which gave a brilliant kind of atmosphere, and it changes the kind of the vibrations in the room as well. And you're kind of, I suppose, you're getting that feeling of what it was. You're trying to drag out what's in the room by doing that, and you're getting the feeling of what it was actually like at that stage. So it kind of brings you, pardon the pun, back in time to what, you know, their time, and seeing what's going on. But yeah, so that's why we prefer the old trigger object ways of doing things. You know, you're going to go into a big castle, you're going to know they probably had gramophones or something like that at their time, but the farmhouse down the road wouldn't have anything like that. So you have to kind of think, okay, you know, do we play music in this house, or what do we do? Do we have an old newspaper or an old book that we can use in this particular location? So that's kind of where we kind of go with our trigger objects to figure out what's there. If there's kids, you know, bring toys or whatever. One of the girls in the team, Yvette, actually, she always brings a balloon, just to see if she can kind of, now obviously the balloon will sway and stuff like that, but it's a good point, just to have it in the room. If you think you might have children that they would, if they could see colours or movements, that they would interact with it, you know?
True. Yeah, it's like preparation is the main thing there, and going to these locations, having a sort of idea, knowing bits of, obviously we all know bits of the history because you're trying to get to the location or you've already heard of it before, but saying that, you know, having a bit of knowledge of what certain rooms have, as you said, like the bloody chapel with the Bible reading there. One of the brothers was a priest that died in there, and one of the old carols, I forget now. But having prepared the experiments, especially as you said, like past enactment, Singapore theory, all these experiments. Sometimes the investigator needs to do this to know what, you know, to get the best evidence or the best link towards whatever spirits are there. That's probably linking more with what we would probably talk about later for the fake evidence there. I just have a few shout outs there for a few people there. So Lindsay, a fellow GhostÉire team member, she says, "Hi everyone on this windy night." Yeah, very windy. We like to say, Mary, yeah, we'll come across that now. You can still, like, Mary's still on the posting up comments there. I'm just going to quickly go through this with Mary. She says, the withdrawing room that is off the card room in Loftus Hall was a room used by the ladies of the house to withdraw to after dinner. There has always been a different energy in that room, especially drawing out child energies. Okay. Was that the card room? We'll talk about Loftus Hall in a bit anyway. So people, I'm just going to pass you on to Cameron. Well, first of all, actually, I forgot to mention the quiz. So coming up towards early October, we're doing a draw, and you'll be able to enter a draw if you get the quiz right. And it's like a sort of hangman there. So I'm going to show you the letters of the quiz. So it's one word. It's underscore underscore T underscore underscore L underscore underscore underscore. And the clue for this is, Cameron.
The clue? Cameron. I don't know. You didn't tell me. Hello.
No, I give you it. You've gone there. No, the clue to this is substance or spiritual energy. So it's a substance or spiritual energy. If you're first to come up with the answer, you'll be entered to the draw there. We just got a question from Hugh James from Capra, County Antrim Paranormal Research Association. Yeah, if you're associated with any team or tourist attraction, do give us a shout out there. I see what Hugh has just asked there. Hi guys, can you ask, or do you feel that creating a static electrical charge within a room to try and change the ionization and increase the energy for spirit to feed off, just like a battery, a spirit energy? We had a great experience during the thunderstorm. We have recently built a Jacob's ladder and also built a Tesla coil. Any thought of these, please? Thank you. I've seen the videos there, Hugh, and they're amazing there. Hopefully we'll have work in the near future, and hope the partners getting better now. Have you used any of that on investigations there, Michelle? Ionization equipment, pieces like that.
We haven't used that kind of equipment, but we have tried to get the energy up in a room. The usual just standing around, kind of, you know, when you're getting a circle going to get the flow of energy going, kind of going back again to the olden days. But we haven't used kind of any of the equipment to get to charge the energy in the room.
Yeah, I know probably ourselves with GhostÉire, probably the nearest we got to that is probably a plasma lamp.
Right.
We use that as a divination.
Yeah.
We put a finger on it there, and we got a shock from it there, which was interesting. That was at Whitlow Jail there.
Actually, we did use music. We've used music, higher vibrations and stuff like that. So I suppose in a way, it would be kind of,
Similar,
we've
yeah.
let that play in rooms to kind of get the energy going. I suppose, yeah, we've done it like that.
Yeah, because its ionization is in the air, like static, electrostatic is probably
Yeah.
another way. There
Yeah.
we do have new gadgets there with us that we do use in GhostÉire that we've only just recently used, but I forget now. It's been so long since we've investigated. You know yourself, Michelle. So long distance.
Yeah. I actually forgot of it. It took me a while there to remember what was our last investigation.
I know it took me a while to know about who you were. So we have Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh says, "You go, Michelle. You're absolute legend. Just like I'm sure nobody will jump out and fight you tonight." Hi, Joe. How you doing? Thanks for that comment.
And
Okay,
our resident ghost.
our resident ghost. They're the best thing. I bet Joe could be used as a gadget as well. I suppose. Like we have a fellow on the team called Keith who uses a gadget. So we're going to the next subject. Just go on, Cameron, if you can just tell people how you can get in contact.
Yeah, how to contact us. So by visiting our website at www.ghostére.net, click on the contact page and fill in the blank form with your message. If you have a private question for us, just put in brackets after the message private, and you can also email us at ghostére66@yahoo.com, and you can also leave a comment in the live post here on the live video with us. Lastly, if you're affiliated with any other paranormal team, tourist attraction, etc., then just put in brackets after your post who you're affiliated with, and we'll give you a shout out during the show here. So back to you, Anthony.
Okay, so we're going to go on to Loftus Hall, a particular favourite of most people around the whole of Ireland, most haunted house in Ireland. And I'm sorry now that we didn't have Michelle on. Mary on, because Michelle. Mary, sorry. Mary, no, and you do, Michelle, there know a great deal of Loftus Hall there. I'm just going to put, actually, I'll probably just go talk about Loftus Hall there first, and then I'm going to show a bit of footage there. Can you hear me, Michelle?
Yeah, no bother, yeah.
Sure. So what was tell me first, when did you first visit Loftus Hall?
I probably first visited when they did the day tours when they first opened back, what was that, 2013, 14 maybe, I can't even remember the year. And then I went on the paranormal investigation night with the Irish Ghost Hunters, and was absolutely amazed by the place, and I just couldn't get enough of it, and went on from there. I suppose it's one place that I know it's for, a lot of people have kind of different views on Loftus Hall, but for anybody who's into the paranormal, I think it's the Mecca in Ireland to go to kind of place for it. I suppose it's probably well known because it's, what would you say, it's known as the most haunted house in Ireland. It's got great publicity behind it and stuff like that to give it that boost. You wouldn't, kind of, other places don't advertise as much as they would for that kind of thing. But I just found there was some energy or something in the air in that place that just got me and hooked me, and that was basically it. So I was there from the beginning.
Well, as you said, like probably the first time I met you was probably at Loftus Hall there, one of the public night events there, and it was amazing, the place. I suppose that's the thing with Ireland. There, you don't get too many mansion houses. There's plenty of castles, but there's not many big mansion houses to investigate, like Loftus Hall there. And I suppose the whole area of it is just so surreal. The landscape is so different around the whole peninsula. It's an amazing place. What do you think of it, Cameron? There,
I think it's awesome. My first memory of it is about 5 or 6 years ago when we were there on one of the lockdowns, and it was just from the moment we drove in, it was just hitting dusk, and the weather was really bad. It was stormy, and then you're walking around inside this dark house, and the lopsided staircases and walls kind of crumbling, and it's very interesting place. It's very unusual, It's as soon as you walk in, it's just wow, that's what you get from it.
What we're going to do now, so folks, I'm going to show you a bit of footage. This is from Loftus Hall, and this is with Back in Time Paranormal Investigators. So this piece of footage there, so I'm going to show it now. I think it's already live. Okay, I think we're getting some technical issues there. So I don't. Did you see that? I don't know. Sorry, folks. There's a few technical. But what in the video is screaming. That was in a locked off room, was it? There, Michelle. It was screaming. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, if you're familiar with, so you've, it's the second story, so the third floor up on in Loftus Hall. When you go up the stairs, there's a very long corridor, and at the very end, then it turns off to the right, where there's a couple more rooms. So we had our camera at the start of the corridor facing down. That was actually the door. If you've seen Ghost Adventures were there a couple of years back, and they did a night there, and that door closed on Zach. Well, it started to close over, so we had the camera pointing at that door just to see if we could catch it. We didn't, but it picked up the sounds of what sounded like children. I don't know. You can kind of think for yourself what it might have been. It picked up the sounds of kind of laughing and joy. Nobody in the building, as in no public, were in the building at the time. The camera was locked off on that third floor, and all the team were accounted for downstairs. And I think there was 2 staff members of Loftus Hall in that night, and they were there as well. So it was only when we obviously went back and watched the video the next day that we caught that. As I said, between when they have the tours on during the day, when we were there anyway, when the tours were on during the day, they would close the gates for all public, and then the gates opened again just before the paranormal nights would start. So there was nobody around the area at all to give us that. And as I said, we were on the third floor, so it was very interesting to capture that.
And just one question there. I don't know. I was going to ask this to Mary there, and I'll probably ask yourself: have you ever been in a whole house by yourself, or
yes, yeah,
yes? Oh wow!
There,
you got the shot under the drawer picking the equipment up.
We were there. Myself, Mary, and Suzanne were there one night on their own, and it was probably one of the most. I've had 3 scary encounters in my life and paranormal stuff, but this was one of them. Mary was actually in the tapestry room, and the tapestry room was just off the staircase, the main staircase. Myself and Suzanne were sitting at the main staircase. It was like there was a chair there. It was like one of the church pews was there, so we were facing the tapestry room. Mary was in there doing a lock-in on her own. There wasn't a sound in the place. Myself and Suzanne, we weren't talking. We were just completely getting into the zone, as you do, trying to kind of tune into what was happening. And we heard footsteps. Now, I'm not talking about ghostly footsteps. Oh my God, did you hear that? What was that kind of thing? These were proper human footsteps walking behind us through the hallway, behind the stairs, and it was proper bang, bang, bang. But it was kind of very kind of in time, very rhythmic, if you can get what I'm saying. The 2 of us looked at each other and thought there was a human in the house. That's the only way we could say it. We called for Mary to come out of the room as quick as she could. She came out and we explained to her what we heard. And she said that's in Mary's way, because she said that's just the British soldier marching through. And she says we've heard him loads. So it was normal for Mary to hear that. Mary worked in Loftus Hall, so it was normal for Mary to hear that. But I have never heard footsteps as real in my life that weren't human. It frightened me so much. Yeah, it frightened me so much that I said to Mary, "No, that was a human being in this house. We need to check the house, and you need to go and check and make sure maybe Aidan, the guy who owns the place, had come back or something like that and had come in." And we searched that house high and low that night. There was nobody else in the house. The main door was locked. so nobody could have gotten into the house. But that actually, I know it sounds just silly, it's just footsteps, but my God, they were real. Yeah.
And we've heard footsteps before there, but we haven't recorded it there. But it's just they seem to be walking when they know when to walk. But you always have that thinking, like you're always looking up in the air like that, thinking,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
But we have a few comments here. Mary's just come back there, and she says Loftus Hall has 3 ley lines and vortexes inside the house. Myra Crook said she loves the place, Loftus Hall. We've had a lot of good feedback from people interested about Loftus Hall. They enjoy it. Hugh James, hi Hugh again. Place he would love to go in the future. Lindsay as well, she's GhostÉire team member, she loves the place as well. I heard her scream too whilst being upstairs. I'm starting to have the footage, you can see the footage again, folks, on the post down below there. Mary as well has said, yes, I would. Yes, I would have locked the house in the morning on my own whilst as a tour guide and often closed up the house on my own. Lots of experience to talk about, I'm sure, and Mary will get you back on again there. Barry says, Barry Cure. Hi, Barry. Great job, guys. Keep up the good work. Barry, long time investigating. You should get back into it, I think, Barry. You're probably still doing it. I'm not too sure. But I don't think you are, Barry. But, if you are, do come back into it. Mary Nolan, Mary again, it says, Captain Thomas Aston from 1642 when he tried to take the ball. Those are his footsteps. Okay. So that was the English soldier, was it, Michelle? Probably,
must have been.
it.
It must have been that night. It was so real. I still can hear it. I mean, my house that I live in a cottage, tiny little cottage, that from the very first day we stepped in knew had spirits and stuff like that in it. And we would often we'd often be upstairs and you'd hear the other person coming up the stairs behind you, and you turn around and say, what you want, are you okay, whatever, and they'd answer you from downstairs. And that didn't frighten me as much as that night in Loftus Hall. So, it was scary and it was fun. And that's what it's all about. It's about the fun.
Sure, it is about the fun. No, it's a hobby at the end of the day. There, What do
Yeah.
you reckon about Cameron? You mean paranormal investigations, posh word.
No, just like
about paranormal.
just talking about just Loftus Hall there, I was just thinking something. One of my most fondest memory of it is there was a room there with children's toys in it. I'm not exactly sure what floor it was on, but there was seats inside the door just as you come in, and we're all sat in there and we're calling out. And I specifically remember that the door was opening and closing to the command of the investigator, and I was sat right next to the door. And I had my head, and there was no breeze, there was nothing controlling the door, there was no one in front of it, behind it, but it was swinging at the request of. No, this was in Loftus Hall. This one, yeah. So that was Loftus Hall. Yeah, I specifically remember it. Yeah, it was it's fascinating. That place, and kind of windy in there. It's kind of a little bit open, but there was no breeze. There was nothing that night. I was right next to it, and it was really cool. And it wasn't violent or anything, but it was just reacting backwards or reacting forwards to as it was asked. So it was cool. Yeah.
We've had on the staircase, we would use the Singapore effect on the staircase. We played the music there. We've had some very good reactions there, particularly actually using K2s and REM pods and stuff like that, where they would actually hit in response to our questions after we've, the music, start to ask questions, and they would actually respond to certain songs. It was the energy of the people in the place. The actual public that would have been there on the night, they can produce a lot of energy as well. If there was a good song on that they liked, perhaps they were hitting it, I don't know. But there was one, we used the trigger objects on the stairs too. We would normally put a guitar on the top for the entire night and a tin whistle. There was one night that Kevin was in the chapel with his group, and they were calling out and they were asking for things to happen, and the tin whistle actually played a note that was lying on the staircase.
Jesus.
So, Kevin and obviously a couple of people came straight out of the chapel into the staircase. There was nobody there, but the tin whistle was clearly played. Like, it wasn't, or was it? It was like actually somebody picked it up and blew it. Like, so that was pretty cool. Everybody was accounted for because everybody was with us.
Yeah,
and that was good.
And
Oh, and there was one more
so,
night. You're getting me talking now about Loftus Hall. There was one more night upstairs, at the end of the long corridor, which was room 13, and we were calling out a room, and then we heard footsteps coming up the corridor, and I called out hello, and it went, a big hello, and my own voice came back at me. Now I know people say, "Oh, it was an echo," but I echoed several times in the house, in that room, and nothing's ever come back to me. And it was my own, when it was my own voice coming back, answering my hello with and hello. That was pretty awesome. that was
Yeah.
and I say, like, it's weird when you don't think things are going to work or calling out, and then suddenly something surprises you. It's so amazing, when you're when when you're in a haunted location now. Although it does depend on any location there, really. But you think something's not going to work, but as you said, like there's been Tim Whistle there. You think something's not going to work, and then they do something kind of different. And when you look back on, like what you ask, like as a question, it does have some relevance to what maybe a spirit does or says or writes down. It's interesting there. We have a few more messages there. Carol's Daily says, shared guys. Hi, Carol. Still loves you there, Mary. Me, Michelle's got a stalker there, Michelle. Lindsay said, oh, thanks, Mary. Mary's just again. The first building was 1350 when the Redmonds built the first castle, 600 meters from the hall itself. And yes, they're like, they say like, oh, Loftus Hall is. It's a new building. The actual legend, the history, the original building is actually older, and that was it's what didn't exist there. But still energies are left behind, and as you said, the stone tape theory, Michelle. Like people might discredit orbs as well. Like but I personally, I would probably go on to like DNA. Like orbs could be dirt, it could be skin, it could be hair. Saliva left by people in the past there. You just don't know what's left in a room or building that might cause that energy to come about. So I'm just going to go back to we've got 20 minutes, guys. There, the time has flown there. We'll be talking about fake evidence soon. Patrick Doyle, probably talk about Loftus Hall all night there. Patrick Doyle says, why do you think Captain Thomas Aston haunts the house? Do you know that, Michelle? Or
I have no idea, but I tell you, there's more than one or two spirits that haunt that house. I mean, there's obviously the legend of Loftus Hall, which is a great story, if that's the kind of route you want to go down into. But on our times there in the hall, every time we were there, it was like putting a jigsaw puzzle together. We were getting different pieces of evidence. So even though sometimes we were doing the public nights and stuff like that, the public actually helped us in what we gathered, the information we gathered. And we would never turn around to the next group or the next, the next night we were there and say, oh, last time we got X, Y, and Z. We would hope that they would pick that up themselves to bring that forward. And we've found, oh gosh, there's been an awful lot of different spirits in different parts of the house, in different levels of time, if that makes sense. So one room you could have a spirit of a child crossing over with the spirit of a priest, but they won't meet because they're completely different time zones, or time zones is the wrong word, but time, years and stuff like that, eras. So it's very hard to say why one particular spirit would haunt any location, I suppose. Not just Loftus Hall.
That's what Hugh as well. Hugh said that as well as a type of residual energy there. I think he asked one of the questions there. I suppose it's mostly time is measured in distance. So it's just how far in distance the spirits are to each other and how we are to them, really. That makes a difference there. So I'm just going to go on back to the quiz there. We've got 20 minutes, folks. If you can get it right, you can go into the draw. So it's one word and it's a substance and it's spiritual energy. So it's __T __L ____, and it's like a substance or spiritual energy. What more can I say? So you could enter, if you get this right, folks, try and get it in the next 15 minutes if you can. If not, do you know what it is, Cameron? Don't
I have an
say
idea, yeah. I'm not going to say it out, yeah.
You got an idea. Don't say it.
Yeah.
If nobody gets it by the end of the show, I'll let you answer it there.
Quarantine.
Cameron, who's
That's
a
what
bit
it is.
Quarantine. Okay. I'll probably just final thing from Loftus there. Mary says Thomas Aston haunts the house as he was murdered on the grounds by the rebels under a sea fog. They were killed at that day. They were killed on that day. Hey! Da, 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 da. Yes, sir. Hugh James from County Antrim Paranormal Researchers Association, Capra, has got the answer, and it's ectoplasm. Good man.
I think anyone that's seen Ghostbusters before would have got that. Ecto 1 is the name of the car, isn't it?
Yeah, Ghostbusters. I don't know when that's going to come on there. So we're going for way past any subject. Well done, Hugh. There, so we'll put you into the draw around Halloween there. Okay, so we're just going to talk about. Cameron's just going to go last bit there, how you can contact us.
Yeah, it's me again. You can contact us by visiting our website at www.ghostére.net. You just click on the contact page and fill in the blank information there and whatever you want to put in. If you have a private question for us, just put in brackets private after your message, and you can email us your message at ghost_era66@yahoo.com. You can also leave a message live on this post, and for anyone that's just tuned in recently, don't be afraid of us. We're not that scary. And if you are affiliated with any other paranormal team or tourist attraction, and feel free to mention yourselves as well, and we'll give you guys a shout out for the last 10 or 15 minutes there of the show. So back to you, Anthony.
Affiliated with Tottenham Hotspur, there you can F off. Hugh, that's what the Hugh says. Sorry if I'm jumping in. No, you're right there, Hugh. We want you to get the answer there. Patrick Doyle, Lindsay says yay, and Patrick Doyle says cool. I don't know what they're talking about there. So just talking about fake evidence, and what would you like to talk about that subject, Michelle?
Well, I suppose, why do people fake stuff in the paranormal world? I think the majority of people out there, as I said before, it is for, we do it because we enjoy it. It's good fun. But we also do it for the knowledge of what is, is there anything out there? Sometimes I come home from investigations and I'm like, oh, is it real? Is it, and then something big would happen at the next one. It'll just be that thing that says, oh my God, yes, it is. So I think when I'm talking about faking things, is we've done public nights, we've done private houses and stuff like that. Particularly in a private location, you go to the house, you're called into the house, and they tell you the story. When you go in, they just seem to want to hear their own story repeated to them, and for us to find that evidence. And they will do anything they can to make us believe that it's true. Like, they say they've seen a monk in the house, they will see that monk that night that we're there, that way, even though we won't pick up on anything like that at all. And I just think it's I don't know if they're just misleaded themselves, that they just so badly want to believe it, or if it's just they're looking for attention, or I don't know, money. I don't know what it is that from it, but it can get frustrating, and particularly when you see there's TV shows, lots of them out there that do it as well. And I know TV shows, they're entertainment, that's what they're there for, and if you enjoy them or you don't, kind of thing. But it's just, it can get a bit frustrating at times when you see people doing it, or you experience people doing it. We use the rods quite a lot, the dowsing rods, and I personally find them very good. They're my kind of thing when I go on location, and they've worked really, really well in picking up information and stuff like that. And we've done experiments where I've been blindfolded and we've asked for people to move around the room, so I couldn't possibly know where anybody is, and they've given us good information. Like 99% of the time you get something right. But then you get someone else that goes on to them, and like that, they just want to give you the information that they have in their head, and they'll literally be spinning,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah.
oh gosh, no, and you don't want to call them out in a public situation. You just kind of have to get over it. But you're kind of thinking, why come along and do that? Why not look for the truth and, kind of get what you can out of it, rather than trying to make people believe that there's something there that isn't, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's my issue with faking it on in the paranormal world.
Yeah. I think as like a paranormal investigator, it's important that we conduct our business with as rigorous skepticism as we can. Although we believe you have to get as close to proof of providing evidence that you can. It's paranormal investigation. It's dismissed by scientific academics and stuff because it's not underlined by scientific methods and stuff of like concrete evidence. But I think that eventually there will be something in the paranormal investigation kind of area where we can move kind of away from pseudoscience and into science. But as investigators, we should not be using fake evidence, and we should be as like if there's a slight possibility that what we've uncovered could be explained by something natural, then you just can't use it as evidence.
Yeah,
So
that's it exactly. Yeah, it's like that wind chime story I was saying earlier on, that the wind chimes were off the camera. So I would never use that as evidence to say, oh, we've captured the wind chimes going off, because okay, we believe it because we were there and witnessed it. Do you know what I mean? It's our video. So, but I'm not expecting anybody else to say, oh yeah, those wind chimes really did hit, because they were off camera, can't be seen. That kind of thing. And I just think it takes one photograph to be kind of manipulated and put out there to kind of take everybody else down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's massively damaging. Even this Hollywood stuff is damaging as well. It gives you this misbelief about what it actually is, and
that's
it is damaging.
Yeah.
But it's also I think we have kind of the greatest responsibility as people that take it seriously to do as best we can.
That's it.
And that's
the important
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't sit all night in the freezing cold, in the middle of November or something like that, just to fake a kind of thing. You kind of really want to find something there.
Yeah. And usually it's at our own expense as well.
That's yeah, I know. It's the most expensive hobby, I tell you. But I'm not dismissing other people. Like, obviously, if somebody has a story to tell, that's their story. If they believe that they have, a spirit or a haunting of some kind of in their home or in their building or whatever it is, that if they truly believe that, I'm not there to take that away from them and say, oh no, that didn't happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is there. If they firmly believe that, well then, they did. But until I see it with my own eyes, and experience things, I can't say that something has happened and something is paranormal, because 99% of the time you get nothing anyway.
True. And I suppose like I don't know if you can hear us there, folks. I don't know if we're breaking up there, but it's I suppose like if you do it for so many years, the paranormal investigations, you've learned about the elements and what's around you, the sounds, the smells, and what comes up on your cameras and insects and all that. Now people like see TV shows, they might suggest that they are ghosts and all that. But the more you do, the more years you have the experience, the more you're unlikely to misinterpret. And then, as you said, there's people that would fake it there, and probably would look for more likes or more publicity and all that sort of nostalgia that is with fame, the paranormal stuff. And I suppose there is misinterpretation is a big factor of it. And I suppose majority of the time, majority of paranormal investigators are there for the long haul, and they love it, and it's like fishing. I suppose like Cameron, isn't it? I suppose it's like fishing, and once you get something unique, or it just makes you so happy, on
Absolutely.
recordings, on cameras, or EVP digital recorders there, or on any other gadget there to measure any spooky stuff. So we just have a few comments there. Mary says some teams use the power of suggestion too much. I suppose yes, as you said, we were talking about monks there, Michelle there. people would probably think, that the history is linked to some. If there was a monastery, that there's going to be a monk there,
Yes.
obviously there. But I suppose it's when you can really concentrate and really pick out those. I suppose that's the thing, going back to all the new ways of investigating, is research as well. We're finding more. We can find out more than we could about 50 years ago, due to the internet and looking back in papers and all that. So Mary says some teams think that they have to entertain a group. They feel under pressure to perform as their public are paying to investigate. I suppose that's the thing with public public nights there with the public there. They're expecting something, and then you can't please them sometimes. It's hard to please the public.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen the way you want it to happen. Yeah.
No, it is when you only get one person like we did at a public event. So, they were happy anyway. They were happy. Lindsay says, yes, Mary, some teams were in a group situation are only interested in what they feel and not too keen on listening to hear about other people in the group experiencing things. I suppose, you get that a lot on public nights as well. I suppose with teams as well, it's good to actually hear what other people are feeling and sensing, isn't it?
I suppose in fairness, like as well, the public are like if the public are paying for a night, they expect kind of the kind of the lights and glamour of it all, of ghosts jumping out at them, and if they don't get that, that's where it all kind of, I won't say it all goes wrong, because it's not right to kind of do that, but that's where you kind of cross the line between trying to entertain and trying to genuinely give a realistic night in a location. We've been to locations several times, and you go in one night and you have everything happen, and you go back 6 times after and nothing happens. So it's not like, you can't go in and knock on all the doors and say, right, come on, it's your time to shine, up you get.
Yeah.
And I suppose with as you were saying there, with you can't really get everything every other night there. Like trying with the public there, it's hard to do it. And sensing, we have a question from Thin Pinto, who's from India. Now, he sent this a couple of weeks ago when he was supposed to be on. Fortunately, I got sick. But he says, have spirits followed you home, Michelle?
No. I have never been followed home.
Sorry.
No, it's never happened.
I don't know how to answer that. Two experiences, I suppose. I've had dreams, vivid dreams after investigations that were relevant to the investigation, and oftentimes I get this presence of a spirit, the same spirit, regularly enough around me. But I don't think it's something that's followed me home. I think it's more to do with a spirit, an angel, or something like that, than actually have been followed home. It's definitely something that's around me regularly, and I'm familiar with it, so it's unusual.
I think they're happy to stay where they are. I can't understand, but I wouldn't get why a spirit, if it's in a location for 300-400 years, would want to leave and come home with me. I wouldn't feel I have anything to give it, like, so. But other than that, my imagination probably follows me home. So.
I'm only joking. No, they probably won't fit in my car either. But good luck to them, because we've got 2 screaming kids there back at home. So
they'll be come back.
They'll be following me back. But I was going to say that I suppose we were saying about all the new ways, and probably linked to probably fake evidence there, probably people's interpretation again. I suppose demons as well. When you talk about Loftus Hall, poltergeist activity as well, stuff being thrown, and people would allege that to be a demon or a poltergeist there. But if everyone knows, you've got a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old child, they do throw stuff at home as well. So it could be a child energy coming forward. It could be anything. It could be an animal as well.
Yeah.
I've just gone through another Yvette Sullivan Hutchinson says, great idea. Mary says, yes. Told Michelle's story. One followed me home from Loftus when I was working there in my first year. So Mary said that Esther followed her home as well.
Yeah, she said she was sitting at her table when she got home with a friend, and she could hear footsteps upstairs. And the strange thing was her friend heard it as clear as Mary would. Mary would be kind of like our medium. She kind of, medium probably the wrong word for, but Mary can walk into a room and literally see everybody that we can't, if that makes sense. So the fact that Mary's friend actually heard this footsteps as well kind of made it more impressive for Mary that something was there, and it was something that wasn't in her house before. So yeah, so Mary's had something.
And I suppose on that note, on about leaving things at home, the hour's gone quick there, Michelle, and I really appreciate you joining us tonight. Now, I'm sorry, folks, if we're all a bit scattered there. Maybe we're not coming through too clearly on the screen. It's been the weather's been bad here in County Kerry and down south as well in County Meath. I'm joking up there. So. But and Mary, Nolan, I'm sorry, no, and we'll definitely come back in again as we'll try and link up again and do the show again. Hopefully, maybe even towards Halloween now as well. It'll be wonderful there. I'll be adding some posts there. Just a quick question there, probably Kevin Burtonshaw says, I was out with Michelle, Mary, and the team, and myself, and one of the team members seen someone walk across the opposite side of the room while the rest of the team were at the table. Had a great night. Thanks, guys. Great team. And that's,
thank you.
To you there, Michelle. There.
Thanks very much.
So thank you, folks, for tuning in tonight. So we're going to actually do this every 2 weeks instead of every week, because just to give ourselves a bit of a break. But it's great to have Michelle on, and Mary and Michelle. Thank you, really appreciate spending.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having both of us.
Thank you, and thank you to the public for commenting and all that. I'll be adding some posts. Please like Back in Time Paranormal Investigators, the page there. You can see the link on the event on GhostÉire link, and I'll put up a post there tomorrow as well. It'll be next week. I'll share the video again. Cameron, you had a good night?
Wonderful, yeah, absolutely wonderful.
That's probably
sure,
no,
now. Yeah, I know.
And cheers, and thank you, folks, for staying on. And Brian McMahon from Belfast Paranormal Investigators says, great show, guys. Thanks, Brian. And hopefully in future we can talk about stuff up the north as well there, and Ulster. There's some great places there. So 2 weeks time, and well done to you to finding the answer to the quiz, ectoplasm. I think that's it, guys, and thanks, Michelle, again, and thank you, Cameron, there, and thank you, folks. Slanderfall. See you again soon. If I don't see you next time, I'll see you in the near distance. Goodbye.